Stranger Things Season 4 in the 2000s. It begins in a flashback to the labs. Brenner's doing his thing, experimenting on kids, make sure not to show 8. When suddenly everything starts going south real quick, and Eleven's the only survivor with a suspicious crack. Cuts to modern March 2008, and now the kids are teens. Will and Eleven are living together in California, as hinted to by Weezer's Beverly Hills. Will's popular on Tumblr with all of his art, Joyce is working for Rosetta Stone, and the group is trying to keep in touch on Facebook, including Susie, who's become a master hacker. And Jonathan's made a new friend to smoke some Zaza with named Argyle.
Hold on to your butts, bro chachos.
Eleven's painted a diorama for school, a presentation of her inspiration, her father Jim Hopper, represented by this Warhammer miniature. You wouldn't know anything about that. But the popular kids really hate Eleven.
Do one. I got the Nokia 1110. OMG, that's so last year. I got the Nokia 6070, and it's got polyphonic ringtone. It's got Snake 2. It's well good. Game Boy Advance with the new Pokemon Emerald. Dropped your gay cat. I got the Jebed. Put the feet in Freakazoid. You put the itch in, bitch. Back to me when you hit puberty and you're not bless.
And Eleven tries exploding that bitch's mind, but then remembers she's been depowered and ends up looking hella cringe in front of the entire school. Robin and Steve are still besties. Robin's crushing on her bandmate Vicky, but she doesn't know if she's really into her. But Steve ensures her that, well, she definitely buys a lot of Tomb Raider games. She's definitely, Nancy's working for the school paper, but she's also struggling with a long-distance relationship with Jonathan over MySpace. Max is struggling, feeling that she was responsible for Billy's death. Lucas has joined the basketball team looking like Jimmy Butler, whose captain is that douchebag Jason, who's dating Kirsty Foreman, who shares the same surname as the main character from That 70s Show, a series made in the 90s and 2000s about an idealized nostalgic version of the 70s, which this show wouldn't know anything about. And like a lot of nostalgia, it kind of overlooks the negative side. Like Kirsty has a really bad relationship with Jason and her mom, and she's got an eating disorder, and she keeps blinking into the Outlands. Dustin and Mike are having better times because they finally joined a guild in Warcraft called Hellfire, which is an X-Men reference. It's ran by the local Eddie Munson, who's this total punk who hates all these asshole preps, who hate Eddie because he has long hair and he likes metal music and they think he's a school shooter, just waiting to happen, so he acts all edgy and creepy just to defend himself, but in reality he's actually really nerdy and sweet. Ah shit, is he just me? The trio are all in Hellfire, but Lucas has a basketball game the same day they're planning to do a big boss raid in Warcraft. It's a tragic part of life seeing friends grow apart distantly and interest-wise. The two try getting Eddie to reschedule, but he's reading an article about violent video games causing people to be violent. Teenage Dirtbag starts playing as Eddie has a crash out, bitching about how much of an asshole Jason and other preps are. He's been held back for 2 years, but Eddie just knows this is going to be his year, and Dustin can keep the club when he's gone. Joyce got a doll from Iraq in the mail, so she calls Murray to say what to do, and he tells her to just open it. So she figures a way to try and check if it's a bomb or not. And it has a ransom note in it, and Hopper lives in a prison in Iraq. Kirsty keeps seeing clocks and spiders, and tries to get something to take off the edge, meeting up with Eddie, the school's dealer. And the two hit it off in a super cute way. But it's finally come to the game time. We have our Warcraft characters with some notable exceptions. We're going to need some substitutions for this raid. One of them happens to be Erica, who has her own account and knows what she's doing. So everyone logs on and it's time to fight Xavius, the Nightmare Lord. Make jokes that he could use someone like Illidan to help, but that'll probably not be important.
Time to cut the last tether to your mortal life!
Team's doing great kicking Xavius' ass, until Eleven and Will disconnect from the server due to a power outage due to the California heat. But the rest of the team has plenty of gamer fuel to get them through. It's a long, tedious, and even smelly fight to get through, but eventually Erica, as Lady Applejack the Blood Elf Rogue, manages to hit the final blow.
Eternal slumber.
Come on, Bobby, come on! Come on! Yes! Oh, we did it! We did it, we did it!
You guys did it because you're dead, but we did
Oh
it.
my god.
As Lucas makes the final shot, winning the game for his team, as his friends aren't there to watch. Max sees Eddie and Kirsty go into their trailer to do a little, But the deal turns into a nightmare as Kirsty blinks into the Outlands and meets some really gross Cenobite thing. Eddie tries getting Kirsty to wake up, but then she starts floating and compresses. The cops arrive and Eddie's nowhere to be seen, which is totally not incriminating, especially to the jocks who are hanging out in the abandoned diner from season 1. At the same time, Mike has made it to California to meet up with everyone for Will's birthday and spring break. Definitely a missed opportunity to not have this be a winter break season. Also, Murray was there, and somehow Mike didn't see him. Dustin knows this whole Eddie thing is bullshit, so teams up with Max and the young adults to clear his name, as the others are having Will's birthday at the bowling alley, and some of the popular kids start playing Usher's Lovin' This Club, and just carries 11. So 11 retaliates by belting one of the bullies with a bowling ball to the face, completely destroying their nose. Bit of an awkward van ride from Harold and Kumar over here. Eddie lives with his uncle, who connects this story to something similar happened to Victor Creel. The others find Eddie in a boat shack, due to his history of constantly buying Call of Duty games. He gets brought up to speed about Stranger Things, and he also tells them it's something different, which Dustin connects to Xavius, who technically wasn't actually a boss in the game for another couple years, but he was in the lore in the game, so shut up. Also, it turns out Hopper's being ransomed by a guy named Enzo in Surdash, Iraq, where they've mostly been just torturing him since the end of last season, like putting him in one of those Iran-Iraq war potato aluminum foil suits and then cutting off the air. Then the same thing that happened to Kirsty happens to this other guy, which we can now connect the Cenobite as Xavius, who lives in a mansion in the Outlands. The government with Sullivan are coming here to shut this shit down and question Owens what's about 11. Young adults and teens know they have to save Eddie and his honeycomb hideout, so the ladies will go figure out who Victor Creel is, and Steve gets to babysit the teens. Jonathan just really wants to watch Horton Hears a Who with kids. It's oregano, officer. Oh, they're just here for that. Speaking of an assault charge, Jason and the preps go beat up Eddie's friends and look for him. 11 is found by Owens, who wants to repower her. Anxiety and Nan go to the library to figure out what the hell's going on, and get a lead to the asylum, while the other Scooby gang figures out the guidance counselor must be in on it because every person that goes to her ends up getting compressed, which might include Max soon. Also, dire bats. Lucas meets up with everyone, and it turns out that Victor thing happened in the 70s, so what's the connection to Xavius? The ladies will go figure this out, and Steve babysits some more. As it turns out, Enzo's actually working with Hopper to escape. Joyce and Murray make it to India, where a guy named Yuri is going to take them to Iraq. Currently, Hopper's escaping himself, killing 7 guards, and making it to an old synagogue, which is full of Jif peanut butter, John Cena merchandise, and Elvira. But this plot is going way too fast, so Yuri is actually a betrayer. In America, the guys are watching Clone Wars until they're told about what happened to 11, and they have 2 agents watching them now. At least they have retro posters. Then the military comes and attacks the agents, so all the guys have to escape, with Argyle, who was just trying to mind his own business, listening to And Then It Got High. If Erica has to cover for her brother any more, then she's going to ask for a Wii and crossbow training. The girls make it to the asylum, dressed like inside-out Skittle bags.
The right song, particularly one which holds some personal meaning, can prove a salient stimulus.
Doing a little bit of lying and brown nosing gets them a meeting with Victor Creel, played by Freddy Krueger himself, which he purposely auditioned for and wasn't asked to do. So back 1974, they moved into the Creel house, but then their son, Henry, started noticing that this is a big reference to the Amityville Horror, which was remade in 2005. As the house is goddamn possessed and makes people hallucinate, but they get calmed by the Mamas and the Papas cover of Dream a Little Dream. Victor was arrested for the supposed death of his family and coma of his son, leading to him to pick out his own eyes. But the ladies are found out and kicked out. Max visits Billy's grave, but then she starts hallucinating and Xavius is messing with her. With big nasty claws, she tries escaping into Xavius' lair, known as the Emerald Nightmare. But Nancy remembers to call Dustin about this whole music thing, so now the guys have to find which is Max's favorite song out of all of her DVDs, playing Evanescence Bring Me to Life. And it works as she runs to the thing that brings her joy, including her friends, instead of isolating herself like she's been for the season. And probably some more symbolism from the song lyrics. The agent guy says Nina, and before he's able to give them a number, he dies, so they have to bury him in a junkyard. But they find out the pen is a trick pen that has the number they're looking for. But Mike was the only one who was able to grab their phone on their escape, and it turns out to be a number for a computer, so they have to go all the way to Utah for Susie. Before the adults get ransomed to the Iraqi military, Murray escapes and ends up crashing their plane into Iraq. The jocks start thinking that Eddie is some kind of satanic sorcerer, which douchebags like this would definitely never ever consider after this. Max pulls a will and starts drawing what she saw in her dreams, and Nancy puts together a complicated photo of the Creole house. So Scooby Gang investigates, finding out that Xavius is in the same location in the Outlands. As Eddie gets found by the jocks and he has to speedboat out of there if it would work, but they get distracted when one of the jocks gets compressed. So Eleven gets taken to an underground fallout shelter and shown Nina is a depuration tank that they're going to give her powers back after shaving her and sticking her in her old memories, and also Brenner is there. And in those memories, there's this one guy who seems legit. Dustin's able to get back in contact with Eddie and everyone meets back up.
I say you're asking me to follow you into Mordor, but the Shire is burning, so Mordor it is.
Jason's furious and starts rallying up the town for their witch hunt, directly quoting George Bush. And speaking about religious fundamentalism, Team Pizza's made it to Susie's house, which of course is loaded with the typical Mormon horde of children. So Susie fires up the hotspot and prints them off a map to a location. Susie would go with them, but you're already questioning, does Argyle's parents know where he's at? So don't question, does Susie's parents know what they're at? The young adults and teens realize that gates keep opening every time someone's compressed, so they check the one under the lake, with the young adults sailing out. Ew, why does Steve shave his body hair? I've been trying to tell him, grow a little. Doesn't have to be a full Austin Powers, but he claims the chicks dig it smooth. Give me that. Then Steve gets pulled into the Outlands, so now all the young adults are stuck in. And Eddie doesn't get why Dustin likes him. Steve's the one that literally jumped in first into danger. I'm just a coward, man. Also, the Outlands haven't changed since season 1. So Lucas, Dustin, and Erica and her Capri Sun uses a light bright to text the group with a plan to try and get them out of the Outlands, making sure to slash some police tires, and luckily the young adults know how to skateboard. Murray disguises himself as Yuri and gets into the prison, which is watching a bunch of people get eaten by the Naga, but Hopper is able to fend it off with some contraband. Using the gate in Eddie's place, they're able to pull the young adults from the Outlands into the Inlands, except for Nan. Now one guy is trying to help Eleven escape, but he's got a tracking chip, so Eleven pulls it out, but it turns out to be his, inhibitor chip, and it turns out he's number 1, he's the one who did the massacre at the beginning of the season, he's Henry Creel. He was the one who did the things to his family, and he was taken in by Papa, which is basically ripping directly off of Tom Riddle in the House of Gone story from Harry Potter. He's Voldemort. So 1 and Double One aren't so different. But then they have a forced battle where 11 banishes 1 into the Outlands, making the first gate. And yeah, he's also Xavius. Nancy was watching this because Xavius found her. Too bad Nancy has a very different opinion of music than Eddie. Joyce reunites with Hopper as the Iraqi Naga escapes, and it turns out they also have a Murloc, and a whole bunch of them, and even their own old god.
Your will is no longer your own.
So GTFO out of there, Yuri is definitely gonna fly them cross-continental in a helicopter. 11 got her powers back. Nancy was kept alive to tell them what's going on. So they now have a plan. Use Max as bait Nan and crew are going to attack Xavier's body in the Outlands. 11 wants to go, but Papa says no. With Team Pizza, Will shows this really cool painting he made of the four fighting a dragon, with Mike as the heart of the team. And Will's definitely trying to come out to Mike without coming out to Mike, because he's feeling the all too familiar, your best friend is not as in love with you as you are to them. Then the military finds the lab, and Brenner gets shot, and 11 pulls some Hulk 2003 stuff, reuniting with Team Pizza. Eddie gets the pig mask from Season 2, and they steal a Winnebago. Max's favorite memories from prom. Also, rip Vicky as a boyfriend. And the jocks are sociopaths that want to shoot Eddie. So it's time for a training montage at the Teenagers by Mike Hem. There's some pineapple on pizza discussion, which wasn't really a big thing in the 2000s. It's a byproduct of being made in 2022. So 11 tries a salt bath to try and contact everyone, listening to Better in Time. Erica, Max, and Luke go to the normal house, where Erica's lookout, and Lucas is with Max as she takes off her headphones. Dustin's with Eddie, and to distract the dire bats, Eddie does a sick cover of Chop Suey by System of a Down. So the other young adults head into the Outlands house. But everything goes south because, of course, a bunch of douchebag jocks ruin everything, and Max starts remembering her brother in the sauna, but then she gets stuck in prom and gets distracted by blood balloons from it. As Lighthouse from Season 2 plays, but keeps skipping back into Dream a Little Dream. Justin confronts Lucas not knowing what's up, so Lucas calls him a stupid normie and they fight, as the young adults are getting tangled. Dustin escapes into the normal world, but Eddie decides to stay behind to get the dire bats away from everyone, going down swinging. Also, the Iraq Void monsters escaped. Xavier's is about to get Max, but 11 found them and tosses him away. Then Xavier knocks both of them into the Emerald Nightmare, and he explains that 11 banished him beyond the Outlands into the Twisting Nether, where all the Void monsters are from, and he was able to take a cloud with his powers and shape it into his favorite animal, a spider, creating the Old Gods. Mike drops the love bomb, which gives 11 the strength to push Xavier away as the adults are killing monsters, including Hopper finding the Conan sword because, shut up, it's cool, and they really are going to take the helicopter. All that hurt the hive mind enough so young adults escape and they're able to fuck up Xavier. But he pulled a Michael Myers and he fell out the building and escaped. Meanwhile, Dustin gets back into the Outlands, breaking his foot, finding Eddie's body. Two outcasts find comfort in each other, and Eddie says it really was his year as he passes away. Max isn't looking too good as the Outlands start spilling into the normal world, which the government says was an earthquake that happened in Indiana because shut up and it killed 22 people, including Jason. This causes a massive refugee crisis. But hey, Team Pizza's finally made it back to everyone. Max is still alive, kinda. Vicky's single now. At the refugee camp, Dustin tells Eddie's uncle that he died a hero for a town that hated him. Uh-oh. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below, as well as hitting a like button and subscribing for new. Hype on Mobile's appreciated.